Nation, what's going on? We got some breaking NFL news here. The Chicago Bears have traded the number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers in return for the number 9 and some other picks. Coming up here on today's show, I'm going to break down this trade. I'm going to tell you who won, why they won, and then I'm going to tell you how this trade impacts the Las Vegas Raiders in their quest to draft a quarterback. So first, here's the deal. The Chicago Bears, they trade the number 1 overall pick to Carolina Panthers. The Bears in return get star wide receiver DJ Moore, so Justin Fields gets the number 1, finally. Then they also get the number 9 overall pick. They get a number 61 pick, so second rounder in this year's draft. They also get a 2024 first rounder and then a second round pick in 2025. I try to tell y'all it would cost a lot for the Raiders to move up to number 1, but with a deal like this, it is locked and loaded. The Carolina Panthers are going to be taking a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. My question to all of you out there is this: who won the deal? Do you think the Chicago Bears won the trade, or do you think the Carolina Panthers won the trade? You know what? We're actually going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. So I'm going to give you my answer after you get hit with this YouTube ad break. So scroll on down right now and let me know Chicago or Carolina. To me, I actually say this. The team that won the deal is both. I do think Carolina won more than Chicago, because if you would have asked me how much would it have cost for the Panthers to go from 9 all the way up to 1, I would have said at least 3 first-round picks. And I'm very curious to hear what our Chicago Bears host has to say, because I think he's going to say this as well. However, though, if Carolina misses on the QB, Chicago finally gets the number 1 wide receiver. They also get first-round picks in this and next year's draft. You get a second in 2025. So even if Justin Fields isn't the dude, you are able to restock up here a little bit. I do know that the Bears wanted to trade back, and I do think the Bears got a good amount in terms of draft compensation. The only reason why I'm saying that they could have gotten more, because going from 9, even though they did get more, but they could have got more, because going from 9 all the way up to 1, usually a team has to give up. Like, think about the San Francisco 49ers, perfect example. They went from 12 to 3, and they had to give up 3 first-round picks to do that. So I do think they're considering DJ Moore here worth a first-round pick, which I actually don't know if he would have gone for a first-rounder. But, hey, that's just my opinion. If you want more coverage around the 2023 NFL Draft, Chat Sports, we just launched a brand new draft YouTube channel, which you can go see down below at youtube.com/ChatNFL. So if any NFL fans out there, any Raider fans, want more draft content, we just crossed 2,000 subscribers. The link's going to be in the comments and in the description of today's video. So with Carolina making this trade, one of these quarterbacks is going to go off the board. I would imagine that the odds favor Bryce Young being the number 1 overall pick, but no matter what, I think it's either Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, or Anthony Richardson. I said on an earlier show on the Raiders Report that the only quarterbacks worth trading up for in this year's draft are Young and Stroud. Why? Those two are the guys that are the most ready to be able to compete in year 1. For Carolina to make a move from 9 to 1, you don't do that unless you believe that quarterback's ready to start week 1 for your team. And when you look to see how weak the NFC South is, if it's Bryce Young, you can even make the argument, if it's CJ Stroud, that might be the best quarterback in the NFC South. The Buccaneers, they got Kyle Trask. Yes, the New Orleans Saints have Derek Carr right now, but if I was building an NFL team, I'd rather have CJ Stroud. I'd rather have Bryce Young over DC. And then you got Atlanta. Atlanta at number 8 is another team to keep in mind in terms of potentially trading up. So what do you think here, y'all? Will the Panthers, who are they going to take? For you to go up that high, there's somebody you got on your mind. There's somebody that you're like, that player is just never going to happen. Who is it going to be? Who are the Panthers going to take at number 1? I'm going to be more than willing to put my money on Bryce Young, but this is the Raiders report, right? So I know a lot of people are wondering, well, how does this impact the Raiders? Personally, for me, this is not great. If you wanted the Raiders to draft a QB, the chances of it are going down, because the quarterback that you want, I don't think it's going to be there at 7. Because you look at Carolina, they're taking a QB. I would imagine Houston probably takes a QB. The Indianapolis Colts at number 4 probably are going to take a QB, which that means you're going to get stuck with, at best, maybe the fourth quarterback at number 7. And here's the thing. This is what Josh McDaniels had to say on the whole quarterback situation. There aren't 5 quarterbacks among the top 10 players in the draft. There never is. There never is. So if you're taking the 4th or 5th one, you better have liked that player a whole lot to begin with. We are going to do our due diligence. We know that player may or may not be in the first round. Maybe he's in the second round. Maybe he's in the third round. Maybe day 3. We are hard at work in the process. So if you wanted Stroud, the only way you're going to get Stroud, the only way you wanted probably one of these quarterbacks is if you trade up. I don't forecast the Raiders trading up in this year's draft unless it is a guy that they absolutely love. But if you do, you're giving up draft capital. So my question out there for a lot of y'all is, do you give up the draft capital to go get your guy? Multiple first-round picks. Your first-round pick this year, your first-round pick next year, you go get your quarterback in the draft. Or you make Lamar Jackson a high-paid quarterback. You give up a first, give up a second. Or do you just go with one of the quarterbacks in free agency with, I don't like any of the quarterbacks in free agency. The Raiders are in a very, very difficult situation right now, and it's going to be intriguing to see what happens. Now, my job here at Chat Sports is to be able to keep you guys up to date, and if there is something that impacts the Raiders, even if it's not Raiders-related, I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to break it down. The big news here is the Chicago Bears. They traded the number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers in return for DJ Moore, a first-round pick in this year and next year's draft, a second-round pick in 2023 and in 2025. This does impact the Raiders, and it does really hurt their chances at being able to get a quarterback in the draft. So, if you love the silver and black and to make sure you never miss anything, I mean, this is big-time news heading into free agency. Chugs and I are going to be live every single day of NFL free agency. When the Raiders make a move, we will be able to talk about it, and we will be able to break it all down for you. So, take a second, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those notifications. So if you guys don't already know some of the top quarterback prospects out there, these are the top 5 guys. Richardson, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, and Bryce Young are the only quarterbacks that I forecast going in the first round. If you want to take some later QBs because, well, we're kind of out on that, there are some players that I'd be okay with going with day 2. And going with day 3, I'll be 100% honest with you, these are not QBs that I would feel confident starting. In fact, I don't even think Hendon Hooker plays in year 1. Tanner McKee is probably going to go before day 3. I just view him as a day 3 quarterback. I'm not that high on him. And then other QBs that, again, not ready to start right away, but could be at least some depth. Jake Haener, Aiden O'Connell, Jaron Hall, BYU, Purdue, and Fresno State, Stanford, Tennessee, as I work my way up there. But the Raiders now, when I woke up this morning, if somebody were to say, Mitch, what are the chances that the Raiders make a big-time move for Lamar Jackson? Probably would have said about 5%. After this, Las Vegas has to get a little bit nervous, and I do think Las Vegas now has to start to consider their other options, where now I might say Lamar Jackson's at a 10, 15% chance. I do think, unfortunately, this probably puts the Raiders in a spot where they are looking at Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit more, even though Ian Rappaport today said that it is very unlikely that they're going to do so. When deals like this happen, NFL organizations, they have to go to another resort because it totally changes what they're going to do. So interact with me right now. Twitter, Instagram. Also, hit me up over on Locals as well. Best case scenario, the Carolina Panthers, they traded up for Will Levis, or they traded up for Anthony Richardson.